I didn't see you there. What am I doing? I know, just robbed my local Walmart for this sweet Switch 2. Why'd I steal it? Have you seen the prices of games these days? $80 for Mario Kart World. Sheesh. They say I'm the criminal. Crap.
Right now, we're in a very interesting time in gaming's history. Prices are increasing left and right. Game companies are finding more and more ways to scam us, and AI seems to be just taking over the entire space. So, since we've got a few minutes until the feds eventually come and find me, why don't we go over a few examples of that? A few ways that gaming has evolved. Mostly Nintendo, but other companies as well. Video games have always been one of the more expensive ways to procrastinate. Major releases can range anywhere between $60 and a mortgage these days. What exactly defines a game's price is honestly one of gaming's biggest mysteries. Some developers might base a game's price based on how many hours a gamer might sink into it, while others might base the price based on, the console it was released on. For example, a game on the PS5 is going to cost you around $70, but a game on the Switch is only going to cost you around $60. Now, does that mean that Switch games are going to give you less playtime than a PS5 game? No, not at all. There's tons of games on the PS5 that'll give you half that amount of playtime that you get from a game like Breath of the Wild, where you can just kind of dick around for hours on end. Game companies don't really care how much time you get out of a game. All they care about is sucking about as much money out of your wallet as possible. It was pretty much an unspoken rule for a while that major video game releases were always going to be $60. And for the most part, companies actually stuck to that unspoken rule. However, all it takes is one bad apple to ruin the whole damn batch. With the release of the Switch 2 in 2025 came the biggest price leap we've ever seen from Nintendo. This wasn't just $60, it wasn't even $70. No, my friend. This game was $80. Now, I'm not saying that Mario Kart World isn't worth $80. I'm saying it's not worth $80. Hello, Editing Jesse here. I'm wearing a hat because my hair looks absolutely terrible, and I don't want anyone else to see that. A lot of people might look at these high game prices and attribute them to tariffs, because I don't want to date this video, but somewhat recently, like last year, obviously the US put in a lot of big tariffs, and so a bunch of games from, places like Japan, became very, very expensive, and so did their consoles. And so, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Mario Kart World is $80 because of tariffs. I don't know if that's technically true, because while you could say that, they already made, Tears of the Kingdom $70. They were already going to increase the Switch's price point, regardless of tariffs, and also every other game currently right now on next-gen hardware is $70. So while you can say that tariffs played a part, and they most certainly did play a part, I also think that a main reason why we have games like Mario Kart World that are $80 is just because Nintendo wants those games to be that price point. And I want to make it clear that I'm totally fine with games just increasing in price. I'm totally fine with games on the PS5 and more recent Xbox games. I'm fine with those being $70 because those are next-gen experiences. What I'm not fine with is Nintendo doing it. If Nintendo put out a console that was PS5 graphics, hardware, that level of technology, I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with $70, even $80 games for that. Problem is, the system that they put out is more akin to a PS4 or just a really high-end Xbox. The games that they are putting out and the system that they have put out is more akin to last generation. Nintendo is still kind of a generation behind, and so it's hard for me to justify $70 for games that should be $60. Because every other game at those levels have been $60 in the past. That's all for Editing Jesse. Goodbye. Mario Mario Kart World is an amazing game that completely redefines what it means to be a Mario Kart game. However, at the end of the day, it's still just another Mario Kart. You're going to play this for the first month, get it, only to really boot it back up when you have family over. You'll definitely get $80 worth of playtime out of this game, but man, $80 for a Mario Kart game just doesn't sit right. You know who it does sit right with, though? That's right, these freaks. As soon as other companies see that you can get away with high prices, they'll do really just about anything to justify charging a couple human souls for FIFA 27. That's kind of the main issue with these high prices. It's not that it's just this one game that's more than every other game. No, it's the fact that it sets the standard that you can just kind of charge $80, $90, hell, even $100 for just one game. There's some rumors floating around that GTA 6 is going to end up being $100, which is just insane. Now again, we've waited eons for this game to come out, and I'm certain fans would get decades of playtime out of this game, but man, $100 for a game? A console is already at the bare minimum like $500. Pair that with a $100 game and possible DLC, and well, you've got yourself a case of pricing out your wider consumer base, and for what, a second yacht? Now, things might look bleak for prices, but hey, look on the bright side. At least we don't live in a future that's ruled by evil AI, damn it. Yeah, we can't really talk about game prices without addressing the elephant in the room.
Address me!
No!
Nvidia is looking to bump up their graphics cards to $5,000? What? $5,000 for a graphics card? Well, I'm sure they have a good reason, and it's because of AI, isn't it? Companies like Nvidia and Micron are choosing to invest in AI rather than PCs and consoles.
Doc, is it gonna be okay?
I'm sorry, son. There's no easy way to say this, but he's not just greedy. He's fucking stupid.
No.
This has got to be one of the most out-of-touch decisions I think I've ever seen. So these companies have decided that AI is the future and that the resources are better directed towards it. They're almost entirely abandoning gamers altogether. This creates a huge demand for RAM in the gaming market, which ultimately means that companies, and especially consumers, are going to have to pay a fortune for RAM. Companies like Microsoft already get off on the idea of you spending way more than you really need to on their consoles. All this really does is give those guys an excuse to rob you.
And you know me, I hate robbery!
Hey!
But you know who doesn't want to rob you? Steam, the king of good deals. Steam is constantly having amazing deals on hot ticket games like every other week. Just yesterday, I bought Detroit Become Human and Persona 5 Royal for $21. One of the greatest story games of all time, and one of the greatest RPGs of all time, for a fourth of what Nintendo was charging for Mario Kart. Speaking of Steam, indie game prices are criminally good.
And you know me, I love crime!
Hollow Knight is one of the most critically acclaimed indie titles ever, and it's only ever retailed for like $20. Silksong, a game that improves in Hollow Knight in almost every other way, is also just $20. Not only that, but Silksong's DLC is 100% free. That's insane, especially these days. It honestly seems like we're kind of entering the era of indie games, an indie revolution, if you will. While the big guys are over here messing around with AI and manufacturing new ways to scam their consumers, indie developers are kind of over here just cooking up some of the greatest titles of all time casually, and all for an extremely affordable price. Now, of course, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, indie titles run for dirt cheap, especially on Steam. If you see a neat little indie game for cheap, don't be afraid to give it a try. These developers truly deserve the money and praise. Without the support of curious gamers, they would never be able to continue doing what they're doing. I mean, where would Undertale or Deltarune or other big indie games be without the support of people like you? By supporting these developers, you're not only helping them make more games, but you're also shoving it in the face of those billion-dollar companies that think they can sell you anything. And I mean anything. Yeah, I guess we should probably talk about this too, huh? While game console prices continue to increase, so do the accessories. Since these accessories aren't super necessary, the prices tend to be a lot more than people would be willing to spend.
Speak for yourself. I love serving my corporate overlords.
How much was that?
Fuck if I know.
On September 12th, 2025, Nintendo blessed us with a trailer for the Virtual Boy. That's right, Nintendo's worst console, now on the Switch. You'd think they'd humble themselves a little bit and actually make this somewhat affordable, but nope. The Nintendo Classics Virtual Boy, as they're calling it, is a whopping $100. Now, the Virtual Boy isn't a terrible console. It's just a really futuristic medieval torture device. The Virtual Boy was a charming little system that was Nintendo's first jump into virtual reality. In fact, it was actually kind of the first virtual reality system ever. Of course, it didn't do well because, just look at the games. The Virtual Boy is notorious for being one of gaming's worst experiences ever. From headaches to eye strain to lackluster games, I really can't see why anyone would buy this accessory other than for the novelty. The price really doesn't help either. For $100, you could buy... Oh god. The Kirby Air Riders Amiibos released at $50. Yeesh! Don't get me wrong, these guys are absolutely adorable and I definitely need a whole collection, but Air Riders itself is already a $70 game. Amiibo were originally marketed as collectibles, but at $50? Just 2 of these is going to run you over $100. How are you supposed to collect those? Not to mention, Skylanders Superchargers did the exact same thing 10 years ago with their adventure packs. They basically did the same thing with the toys to life, with the little vehicles attached to them. And again, those were like $15? Yeah. Now you must be thinking, well, at $50, these Kirby Amiibo have to do something cool, right? Nope. It's just the same old training and PC thing they've been doing since Smash 4. I'd understand if this was like a big hyped up game like a 3D Mario or a Zelda or something like that, but Kirby Air Riders? That's just insulting to Kirby. But of course, this is just how things are now. A new product comes out at an absurd price, people rant about it for a week, and then everything just kind of goes back to normal. It's easy to feel powerless in situations like this, but the best thing we can do is to support products and practices that we do like and not support the products and practices that we don't. Doing this won't change much now, but I promise you it affects the future just more than you know. So, what have we learned today? Well, we've learned that supporting indie devs is a good idea. We've learned that multi-billion-dollar companies will always and forever be greedy. And oh yeah, we learned that stealing is wrong.
Dude, is that my fucking camera, bro?
No, I just...
Give me my fucking camera, dude! Give me, come back here!